teacups, what's brewing? Welcome back to the channel. Pleasure to have you here. Today we are looking at Chantal's video. I've made a decision about my channel. Or to be more precise, she's made a decision about her channel again. I am not covering the last live she did because the podcast style is getting to me. I might have some weird cuts in this. I was sick a couple of weeks ago, but I'm better now. However, I have had a lingering cough that just will not quit. And if it doesn't go this week, I'm going to go to the doctor and actually get something for it. I went to the pharmacy and got, I think it's like ivy extract or something. I don't know what it is, some kind of cough syrup. But we'll see. I don't want it to turn into like a chest infection or anything. So we're just going to have to wait and go to the doctor. But I prefer to avoid it if I could. Hence the inappropriately caffeinated hot drink. Like I need an excuse any other video. But speaking of the video, if it's personal, it's private. It's a promising start, isn't it? Let's get into this. Fortunately, after cutting out the intro and the cameo, it's only about, 7.5 minutes. I'm so sorry, the background music is quite loud. A private life is a happy life. Was she really worried about getting to the 8-minute mark? Is that what happened? The whole thing only ended up being about 8:08, so there's some filler here.
Hey guys, hey!
Oof. Okay, I was ready to hate on these avatars. Like, she had a community post up that was like, thank you for someone who made this, and my goodness, it was a very, very flattering avatar. But then I went and I asked, like, what is this on Twitter? And I went onto the actual site, it's like Picrew or something. I know that they're probably stealing all our data, but dude, I lived in China, like, it's too late for me. You feel free to save yourself. But I was looking and I was like, are you kidding? And then I actually started making them and it was quite fun. I had to take it back. It's like, all right, no, fair. I see the appeal.
Welcome back to another video.
Welcome.
I want to start by saying a big thank you to the sweetie who made the cute art I will be using in this video. So, I have decided to make another change to my content. Recently, I have decided to make my entire relationship private, and I really like this.
Yeah.
So, I have decided to do the same for some other things in my life as well. I have decided to keep anything related to my health private. That includes anything related to my weight also. I will not be talking about anything health related at all, or how I'm feeling, etc.
Okay.
When I make content from now on, it will be totally unrelated to anything private about myself.
Okay.
I will not tell the internet any more about my mental health, diabetes.
I'm going to have to stop it to say, thank God. But I don't actually believe any of this is true, but we'll get to that. But, you know, I could do with less about your mental health because you don't treat it.
Weight, etc. I'm planning on making videos and live streams going forward.
I'm going to stop it there because there's obviously a lot to unpack in this. Seething is a very overused word, but she's got a very clipped tone to her voice. So clearly she's prepared this and is probably reading off of a paper at this point. That's fine. It's probably the most preparation she's done for a video ever. But to summarize this, and I know I've said this before and I know other reactors have said this before, but if she drinks poison, we don't die. The only person she's going to be impacting by taking away any point that people might find interesting is herself. And you can tell from this tone here that she is just doing it to punish us. Either she's really hoping people will flood in and be like, oh no, please tell us about this, please. We're so desperate for your content, please. Or she's hoping the remaining Beezers would be like, you go girl, yeah, no, don't tell him anything. The problem she's going to face here, as ever, is that she's her own worst enemy. So for every time that she has said this,
weight shouldn't be a topic. It shouldn't automatically be a topic for people who don't want to talk about their weight, you know? You're right about that. Like, I used to feel like I owed people an explanation of why I'm eating something because I'm overweight. Like, when I used to, remember I used to like lie, like, I used to be like, oh, I would hide I would lie and hide and be like, hide from people what I'm eating. But it's not really a lie because I don't owe people the details of what I'm eating in my life. And I used to feel that I did. You know what I mean? I used to feel like, oh, I have to, oh no, I feel so guilty. I ate a burger and I have to like admit it to the world. No, I don't. You don't owe anybody medical records. I know I don't, but I've been depressed before and never neglected my pets. I think we were just used to giving every detail of your life. I know, but then like, why is it so weird for me to just not have access to my privacy? I don't owe people anything. I don't owe anyone anything. I don't owe a collective group of people shit. I don't owe you that information. I don't owe you an explanation. So get bent, okay? Thank you.
And believe me, even on her scrubbed channel, there are many times she has said that.
I honestly, if I'm being completely honest, without any filter, I find the weight loss material boring and tedious and just not something I'm into doing. And I'm sorry if that disappoints you, but I have to live my life the way I want to without being worried about the opinions of others. So yesterday I got fed up and I deleted privatized my weight loss channel. I did it because I was getting a lot of love. I was getting a lot of like comments from followers that were like, I'm not supporting you anymore, blah, blah, blah. And you know what I realized? I'm putting a public weight loss journey out there, so I'm going to get scrutiny. But in the end, and I'm just going to leave it at that, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to do things my way. And if you don't want to support that, that's on you. Just don't like labels. I don't like, whatever. I mean, I just don't like the label of a weight loss. I did make this video before, no longer a weight loss channel. And it's because having a weight loss channel, like I've said before, on YouTube there's a lot of pressure. And people will say, well, you just don't want to be held accountable. You don't want to be... No, I don't want to be scrutinized and feel guilty for making a choice. So, yeah, I guess if you want to call that being held accountable or whatever. So if there's one thing I regret the most, it's impulsively coming on here and doing that live stream talking about my private matters online. I can assure you, with regards to my marriage, that will never happen again. Where I'm happy in doing things with Salah, I just, limit my content to trying to keep my personal life offline because I get attacked for it a lot and it gets weaponized. And I don't think that's healthy for me. And it's, yeah. So it's going to be definitely a change. Now, I am known to make decisions based on emotions and on emotional response. I know this. I'm trying to work on that. And I definitely feel like I need some kind of cognitive behavior therapy for that. But honestly, speaking of which, for me, whether I really want to do this or not, I feel like from a practical standpoint, it's something I should do for myself because let's face it, especially my channel lately, like I said, I've been getting more thumbs down than not. People are just kind of treating my life like a joke, and for me, it's not. I'm not going to miss people picking apart my life, basically. Whenever you're trying to, or I'm not going to miss people shaming me for my eating disorder. I'm looking forward to taking care and healing and getting better for my eating disorder offline, where I'm not judged, I'm not shamed. So I realized, out of respect for that though, and looking what happened in the past, it's definitely necessary 100% to keep any relationships, if they're going to be healthy, offline.
And if you start counting up how many videos she deleted once she started making content again because she's impulsive, you've been missing a lot of videos. But for every time she said this, she's also said this.
Anyway, I'm just tired and defeated. So, I guess that's it. I'm gonna show you some medical records I went through, logged into my medical files that you can access online in Ontario. And I went through my history to show you a little bit of my notes from that. I blocked out, you know, the personal information of the doctors and things like that. But
and she's also shown records, and she's also gone into great detail, and she's also mined for sympathy and super chats and woe is me, I'm the victim here. She has monetized her victimhood when it suited her. So excuse me if, one, I'm not hugely emotionally concerned about the idea that, well, I'm not going to tell you things anymore because you don't have anything else. You literally don't have anything else. Yes, people may act negatively. People may have a lot to say. You may have to deal with a lot in the process of sharing this, and this makes you angry. But there isn't enough interest in the other content to sustain the kind of living you're expecting, even if that living is reduced. And that is one of the things that keeps perpetuating the Chantal cycle. It's the fact that as the situation no longer serves her immediate emotional or financial need, her attitude towards the audience will change. But let's talk for a minute about all this content moving forward that I'm sure she's going to work super hard on and definitely be consistent with.
The videos I would like to make are basically cooking and eating videos.
Cooking videos are entertaining. Eating videos will kill you. I know you're a human being. I know you need to eat. But no human being needs to eat the way you do.
So I'll probably start my video with some cooking clips and then finish with some mukbanging of what I prepare. I have some recipes I would like to share and some new ones I would like to try.
Okay.
For the live streams, I will develop a VTuber style of streaming and will try my best to come up with some theme nights.
Can someone tell me when she says VTuber, vlog? Because that's not just audio, right? Like VTuber video, is that not what YouTube is? I'm sorry, I'm getting old. I'm not down with the kids. Then she's not really, but you know, I'm a little confused, help me.
Or gaming, but I will completely ignore any comments or questions that I do not feel comfortable answering or that are too personal. So don't take...
Oh, sorry. She can do that. She could have done that from the beginning without making this announcement, except, again, she's her own worst enemy, and so she can't do that. Because it starts with her ignoring it for a very short period of time. Or just this going down in flames and her coming on with a rage. That also happens. Then it becomes her addressing the fact that she's not addressing it when people ask. And then it becomes her being reeled into actually talking about it, even though she claims she's not talking about it. And then it's just her losing her mind. And then she comes back, all sad, all sorry, all victim, and expects sympathy.
Offense if this happens to you. I remember reading a quote that there is so much peace in living a private life and not telling anyone your business, especially not the internet. And it's so true.
How would you know? You've never tried it. The only thing you've ever kept private on the internet is your marriage license because it doesn't exist. And even then, you've told us enough about your life that we were able to deduce it didn't exist.
I have shared every aspect of my life pretty much for 6 years.
Yeah.
And this channel anniversary, which just passed, I want to try and be consistent with bringing you content that is not about my life.
Right. I might be crazy here, but wasn't the whole point of this channel that it was about your life? I mean, even the mukbang era was all like your story times and all talking about the kind of things you brought to it, even when those things were nuts. So, A, that's not consistent with your history, but if you're looking for a change, which is fair, people do rebrand, but your rebrands never work because the consistency is the problem there.
When I can, I will do travel content as well.
Oh, is that in about 2 months? 2 months? She flew back on the 2nd or 3rd? 2 months. Just long enough for her back to, which has now mysteriously begun recovering faster now that we've questioned the idea that no doctor there spoke English. Which was another thing. She did kind of go back on that story and then she was like, oh, I could kind of read part of it. Oh, you know, the doctor could speak some. Like, oh, that's a big change. Yeah. No, nothing to do with the fact that we all called you on. Hey, that's highly unrealistic.
Even vlogging around Kuwait is not health related, so I can also do that. And also shopping hauls as well.
True. Again, I'm glad you wrote the script, at least you know what you want to say. How long has that been able to sustain your channel though? Because there was a reason that the vlogging channel, the couples channel, which is now no longer being updated, didn't gain any traction. Because people got bored of driving B-roll and then you not being able to go out and show them things. Her videos have always been very static and she relies just on putting the music in the background and then every clip she films. Don't get me wrong, there is an amount of audience out there for that because she got some views, but even with, shall we say, the dedicated community she has, her views on that channel were not good. So if you take away, which she won't do successfully, but if you take away all of the personal business, the only thing you've got is to rage at reactors, along with your various hauls. But Chantal has talked about how she pisses away money, so she's no longer really in a position, she's not destitute by any means, although if you technically counted her net worth with her unpaid taxes, that'd be another story. But she doesn't have the kind of money to throw around that she did once on the channel. And I think that would be fair. That doesn't mean she's earning nothing, but it's not like I'll just throw it away money. So the kind of massive hauls she used to do, or the kind of hauls she used to do when she really wasn't thinking about budget at all, those are going to be out of the question for her current means. And again, there's only so long they can sustain an interest if you yourself aren't interesting. And when it comes to Chantel, her ability to review things is not what's interesting. She has a limited vocabulary and she tends to be quite repetitive with the kind of content she does. That's fine because people are there for that, but you have to bring something to the table. And in this case, Chantal tends to bring the crazy. So when people talk about her diet, when people talk about the fact that she flew off to Kuwait to live with a man who wants to shit on other people, like when you talk about all of that, her mess is what drives her channel. The other stuff is just there. Was it always the case? No, she used to have a much more defined set of interests. But the last few years at the very least, and which is basically the same thing at this point because her audience by necessity has to regenerate so often because she uses people up. So the people who are here now, this is what they're here for.
I will leave you with a final health update though, because
Of course you will, because God forbid you not. Let's 3 seconds into this. Just keep going.
Mentioned this anyways in my recent live stream.
All right.
That I am on the mend, alhamdulillah. I did not need a wheelchair today at the clinic, and I was able to do a lot more walking and activity than usual.
Okay, so she filmed this directly after the live stream. Now, I think it was in this live stream, it might have been the one before, she was very angry that she obviously hates reactors. She's always hated reactors, and she's always hated sniping. Because, you know, she's like, oh, it takes my money. If you weren't showing this, that audience would be mine. Whether you agree with that, whether you don't agree with that, it doesn't really matter. That is her perspective on the issue. But what really annoyed her was she went to react to one of FFG's vlogs and FFG privated it. Just to get a rise out of her, probably. And congratulations, it works because Chantal does like to just paint that target on her back, doesn't she? But there is, in that very simplistic way that she tends to process things, an imbalance there where she's like, well, you get to react to my content and you get to make money and I can't react to yours. I mean, technically you could. It's never served you well because you're not great at it. It was an action that was designed to get a rise out of Chantal, and it did. And this is the tantrum that comes after it, where she's like, well, if I can't do that to you, then I'm taking all my toys and I'm not playing with you anymore. They're like, okay, but we're doing okay for income, so what are you doing? There's been a few shady comments where she's telling people, look, I don't care, my monetary needs are not as high anymore, my husband works, like if I lose money then too bad. So she's still very defiant about this, she's still very much in that emotional state. But this, and every time this happens, this is invariably followed up by a soft-spoken, oh guys, I'm back, I'm impulsive. No, these cockroaches of reactors, they just irritate me. I just get angry, I should learn to ignore them. I mean, wasn't that up on a community post the other day? Like, oh, try whatever, and just ignore everyone, all attention is good attention. Apparently she's forgotten about that. And she may stay offline for a little bit to, again, try to punish us, but it's really herself that she's punishing the most.
Once I'm well enough, I will be back to planning some travel. I will not let anything hold me back, even if I have to roll around on the ground to get there.
Well, of course not. You have to get there. You've only got 2 months left on your visa.
I will not stop living my life in any way I can. I know many of you enjoy the cooking and mukbangs, and a lot of you don't.
Not really the mukbangs, but the cooking can be entertaining, especially if you watch Pulpy react to it.
That's okay. One does not have to watch content they don't enjoy. Actually, I wouldn't recommend doing so.
If you don't like it, don't watch. But definitely, Chantal should not take her own advice when it comes to reactors.
So yeah, that's my plan for the channel going forward. I like having a mix of both recorded videos as well as live streams. My real dream, though, is to travel and experience as much of the world as I can.
Okay, her trip to Canada, she was like, I cannot be on a plane by myself after this. I need 2 seats. It was incredibly uncomfortable. I'm not going to fly for a while. I know she means the Canada trip, which, to be fair to her, is a very long trip, especially for somebody who is less experienced with long-haul flights. Now, she is building that experience, but it would be rough for her on any flight. But let's think for a minute about the content we got in Thailand. For whatever reason, they were there for so long. We got a few places, we got some vlogs, but she's saying that Salah will not be in it. She can't admit to the real reasons why she's travelling, and after a few places, she became exhausted and didn't go anywhere. So it was the same content as her being in Kuwait, just 4 different walls.
So far, I've been to the United States, in particular Florida, New York. I've been to Cuba, Kuwait, Qatar, and Thailand, and more to come, inshallah.
There's no inshallah there. You've got 2 months, TikTok.
It might not seem like many places to some, but for someone like me with anxieties and health issues, it's a good start. I would want to travel, or that I would ever travel this far and live in the Middle East. This goes to show that no matter how much future planning you do, living in the present is more important because plans always change. Things happen. We change. Life changes. Mm-hmm. Long-term planning just doesn't work well with me, and
What I love about that statement is, of course, that is the lesson she would learn from this. Nowhere in her brain is the idea of, yes, this is all true, and the fact that things change so quickly can be both a positive and a negative, and therefore being prepared for any future is really important. Because by being prepared for all eventualities, you can take any. But if you rock up to somewhere in Thailand, in wherever, and you've got no cash and you've got no security and something happens to you, you end up paying an imaginary $2,000 to a clinic for a boil that doesn't seem to exist. So there is only now only works if you actually die. If you plan on living your life for an amount of time, which I know a lot of people would argue she's not going to have the opportunity to do if we're going to be entirely morbid, but part of not fearing the future is being prepared for it. So whether that means taking care of your health, whether that means saving money, whether hopefully that means some combination of them. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst, and then you can move forward and enjoy the moment. But not for Foodie. Foodie is like, nothing else matters, and future me can deal with it.
Too spontaneous and change my mind too frequently. It also shows that anything is possible if you allow it. Now, I know I have said the same thing
The avatar makes me laugh because I know it's meant to be Chantel, but it's actually incredibly cute and I would like to try it out. I wonder which one that is.
many times, and I always go back to oversharing somehow.
Yes, you do.
But I really
Inevitably, I would be the word I'd use.
think I will stick to my guns this time, guys.
Based on what evidence? I really think this time, this reminds me of, do you remember when she was doing the Taco Bell and she was like, no person has succeeded in losing weight while mukbanging this. But let's just see, I've got a feeling. And let me just see if it works. And then, shockingly to all, it did not work. I know I've failed this many times and I do this every time, but this time, based on no change and no plan, I'm gonna do it.
I think it's because before I didn't actually value my privacy.
Right.
And I would clam up in the past due to being overwhelmed with the internet and the constant opinions on how I should live my life, what I should eat.
Yeah. Then why is it most of the footage we have remaining on your channel shows you being that way after you'd established that certain things were going to be private? Because I know Chantal has that habit of being like, I'm not doing it in this instant because only the present matters, but therefore I don't do it. But it was literally a month ago that you flew home because your husband wanted to poop on your followers. Like, it's not that long ago, friend. And you were very much not private about that.
So on and so forth. That would become too overwhelming for me. Well, now, I do get overwhelmed. Sometimes.
Ragey. Sometimes. Whew, started coughing again and had to go take some medicine. Excuse the cuts.
But I'm more used to the social media environment and its ways. And this time,
Really?
I just simply value my privacy more than ever. Now, I'm
Okay.
sure people will attribute this
My previous question stands.
wanting the privacy solely so I can binge eat and do what I want without accountability.
I mean, it would be a fair argument. You've been raging about people not camming up and then not camming up because you don't feel like presenting the lie that you usually present. Now, don't get me wrong, she has been perfectly happy binging while still also recording on-cam footage in the past. But I do feel like this past few days of, oh, I don't have to try so hard, is going to lead to just an even faster slide.
Well, the part about being accountable is sort of true because no, I don't want to be accountable to strangers on the internet. Now, please know, so many have helped me through tough times, and I know many of you care, and I appreciate you guys, and maybe I can make a private Discord server to talk to caring people,
Why, if you don't want their input?
and we can be a support group or something.
Or a support group to support you in the things you don't want accountability for. What you're mixing up here is the idea of accountability to others and accountability to yourself. When you put things online, it's not you presenting it to us so that we tell you, because you hate that. It's you putting it online to essentially ensure that you follow what you want to do. It's accountability to yourself, which you also hate because there's no authority in the world even when you intend it to be. You will still rebel against it. If you don't want to share that, you don't have to share it. You've never had to share it. But the fact is, you have shared it. And not only have you shared it, you have specifically come online to say, I want accountability. And then been shocked when people have tried to give it to you. And I recognize that you've changed your mind. But in however long, you're going to change it again because you're going to have a health crisis, or you're going to be low on income this month, or you're just going to be bored and miss the attention. And you're going to start another cycle because there is a little part in her lizard brain that realizes that she's getting less healthy and less able to rebound from these issues. And then we get all stage one-y about it. And suddenly it's totally okay to share because you really, really need people to be sympathetic and pat your head and tell you it's okay. You're not accountable. We won't ask these things of you because you're an addict and nobody can choose not to be an addict. No, don't engage with mental health. Just, you were chosen and this is the way it is. You can't take any steps. We'll just keep enabling you.
But I do not feel I need to be accountable to strangers. It is much healthier to seek support in real life from people I know
From
and
who?
trust.
You don't trust anyone. You've gone out of your way to tell us recently, and most of your channel, you don't trust anybody. Anybody you've met in real life basically has betrayed you. Do you ever think there might be a reason for that? And you barely know anyone now. You've got hardly any social circle because you've refused to build one for yourself. And you've poisoned the ones that Salah had in place.
And I used to always say that opening up online was like therapy to me, only to completely be blind to the fact that it is also simultaneously damaging my mental health.
Absolutely. And every time people have mentioned, you know that binge eating disorder that you said you have, do you think maybe mukbangs are a good idea? Do you know that rage you feel and the misanthropic nature you claim to have and why you hate people? Do you ever think maybe YouTube isn't the healthiest outlet for you? Do you ever consider a professional might be good? Oh, you don't like talking to professionals? Are they too consistent for you? Okay, do you think maybe YouTube is not helping you here? And she's been like, no, YouTube is my therapy. YouTube is my stuff. YouTube doesn't make my binge eating worse. Because the other day, wait, when was this? When was this? 2-3 days ago when she was like, no, but when I get it out on YouTube, it's gone. I don't have that clip. Oh, that's irritating. But when I get it out on YouTube, it's gone and it's away. And now 2 days later, it's this. So why would we think that 2 days later it wouldn't be back to that? It's almost as if we've learned from our experiences in a way you seem incapable of doing.
There is tons of content I can make that doesn't involve me exposing my privacy in any way.
Yep. And none of it would get you the views or the attention or the response that you're looking for. Because you've also got a huge amount of unresolved rage. And whether it's mommy and daddy issues, whether it's bullying issues from school, whether it's all your emotional tics that have all rolled into a big old snowball that's been building your entire life up to now. Whatever the reasons, and I'm sure they are big and complicated and frequently overwhelming and never dealt with, they just get pushed down and pushed down and pushed down. If you take away YouTube, even if it's a terrible outlet, you refuse to get a better one. That's why YouTube feels like therapy, because you vent on YouTube. And even though it's not a helpful thing, because there are no steps afterwards to work through the issue, it is at least not internal. So taking YouTube takes any outlet you have, which means you'll just start lashing out at Salah because he's the only one near you, presumably most of the time, even though there are arguments.
Please know, as viewers, that this new approach will lead certain people to become desperate and speculate all kinds of made-up theories for drama and views.
Yeah, I mean, reacting is looking at the things you give us and speculating on it, giving opinions on it, saying, with the benefit of hindsight, that this kind of conversation usually leads to you completely turning back on it within anything from a few minutes to a few days. Much like the stock market, past performance might not be indicative of future performance, but there are trends we can look at.
And I can guarantee you none of it will be actually truth or fact. It will no doubt come without proof.
How lucky for you that you can see the future. How fortunate. I tend to bring proof when I talk. The problem tends to be with you that we do bring proof and you don't like it. And if we do speculate, because speculation is fun, it's all ticking those boxes in the gossip part of your brain. Like, oh, could you imagine if this was true? That's so funny. You can't actually fight that because you make your life public. And I realize that's what you're trying to solve here, but you're not going to get anywhere with it because you literally couldn't stop yourself to save your life.
No doubt you will see people saying Foodie Beauty wants to clam up so she can binge in private. Listen, the fact that I have binge eating disorder is not a secret, and
Well,
I
I'll
have
say
a
it
right
is.
to deal with these things in private.
Okay, so you want to deal with it in private, so that is what you're doing. I don't mind either way. You've had no problem binging on camera, you've got no problem binging off camera. If you want to deal with it off camera, you deal with it off camera, but are you doing it or aren't you? Because it seems like you're saying, I am binging, which based on the pizza rolls you were crunching through the other day is probably the case, because being off camera is only going to make it easier for you and give you more opportunity. But if you're not doing it, and it's not true and we're all liars, then you don't need to deal with it.
I have a right to not want people to exploit my problems online for their profit. However I choose
Only for yours.
to live my life is my choice alone, and if I no longer discuss it online, it becomes no one else's business.
Okay, but that's not true. If you no longer discuss it online, you don't have to. Absolutely, that is fine. But that means it can no longer be your business. You can no longer profit off of that. But you made it public, and even if you try and wipe the slate clean, you can't expect the same amnesia from the audience that you have built, willingly or unwillingly. So if you don't make content, you don't have to profit off of it. That's your choice. But it's not going to erase the content from the internet. It's not, well, I was saying it's not going to erase the interest. It's not going to erase it entirely. People have plenty of content to talk about, and frankly, you are not going to be able to last. So it doesn't really matter, does it? Because in a few days, if not sooner, you'll be back.
Anyway, I think I've rambled enough, but I wanted to make an official announcement on these
Of course
changes.
you did.
So you all, my viewers, know what is going on and what I have planned for now.
Okay.
I don't like explaining
Dreaming is a form of planning.
myself to strangers for food choices or weight issues, and I like the idea of safeguarding my private life and health.
I'm not against you safeguarding anything. It's not the same as lying and then raging because you get caught lying, because if you don't tell the truth, what are you supposed to do but lie? You can change content rather than lying about content. Those two things are different, because I realize you don't know that.
All right, guys, that is all, and I wish you a wonderful day. Bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right, I'm going to leave you there. I am sure she will stick to this. She is known for her consistency, and we will have a veritable extravaganza of interesting, well-shot, well-produced, different content that she is able to keep up with. So when that inevitably happens, I will see you again. Bye-bye.
Having people like you in my corner and just the messages I received is just beats any negativity out of the park, you know? So you can't control, I've said this so many times, but it's so hard to remember my own advice sometimes, but you can't control what people say to you. You can't control what people think of you. You can't control people talking about you, especially if you're a YouTuber. It comes with the territory. Should it be that way? Hell no. But it is. It is. And it's always going to be that way. And until then, the only thing you can control about that is how you react. And the way I reacted was 10 times worse than anything that's been said about me. So, so going forward, it's just going to be my old self, the way I was. I just want to be really positive. 2018 was supposed to start off as positivity and all these things, and it has been starting off rough.